Alright, hello folks, hello. It's another day at the easel here. So a lot of folks ask me, what's the best way to make trees? So I've shown you one of my favorite brushes is the oval. I don't have one laying here, but there's a video of the oval painting evergreen trees. But really, the gold standard, if we watch Bob, he's got 300 and some episodes, right? Or it's more than that. Is it more? I think it's more than that. But anyway, he usually uses that fan brush to paint evergreen trees and some other kinds of trees. So let's just stick with that today and use I've got an older fan brush here. So we're going to use that and just paint a few little trees and do a quick little video of how to get trees that look like Bob's. Now, one thing I always tell people is that if you paint trees and it's completely different than Bob's, but it looks like a tree, you were successful. So don't think that your trees have to exactly look like Bob's to have a pretty painting or enjoy the painting process. Now, if you paint a tree and it looks like a dolphin, just tell people it's a seascape with a dolphin in it. But otherwise, you may want to work on your trees. So we've got a couple different trees that Bob paints with the fan brush, right? We've got down trees and up trees. So let's do one or the other here first. And I just kind of touch with the fan brush little marks on the canvas, because what you do here with this fan brush, a lot of times folks will do this, put it on here and kind of pull, but what happens often is you keep putting more pressure and more pressure and more pressure, and it gets thicker and thicker. And typically you don't want a big trunk on a tree like that. Now that may be fine for some trees. So depending on the tree, but if it's a little bitty evergreen, typical tree, you're going to make that little mark, and you don't need all the things, but if you wanted to, you could go down here and just touch, and just don't let it get too big. Make a little mark on the canvas. And then you're going to kick that brush over, okay? Let me get a little closer here. Hopefully that'll help me get my hand out of the way. Kick it over. So I'm going to use this one kind of as we'll play with. This will be the bad one. If you go in completely centered on that brush, instead of kicking it over where you're going in with just the corner, what happens is this. You get a huge tree all of a sudden where you don't need one. And by the way, I've got a little liquid white on the canvas here, and you can see it's a bad canvas, got a hole in it. But you can make that into a tree. It's just not the way you'd want them to typically look. So kick that brush over, and just barely, and I'm going to kick it down just a little bit, so hopefully you can see it in the video. Just kind of touch. And no pressure really, because there's not a lot of paint in that fan brush. Okay, so I'm just going to touch there. And then I'm going to start thinking about touching to the left, touching to the right, touching to the left, touching to the right, touching to the left, middle, right. And I start working my way down that tree. And I keep that middle nice and dark on most of these little Bob Ross evergreen trees, right? And especially as you get down that big tree, it's going to get darker and darker. Now you can always leave a little space, that's nice. But I'm using that corner and just pushing down on the fan brush. You see that? See how the bristles are kind of pointed up towards the ceiling? Just take that off, and it makes the little whatever pine or cedar needles that we want it to make. Okay, and that's not a bad looking little tree. And I'm just using black. I'm not painting a painting here, so I don't need want it to be good and dark. So one thing I also see, and we'll just make this one a little bit bigger so I can show it again. So again, if we go in straight, we get that. But also what I see in classes a lot of time is this. People want to pull the paint. They want to paint with the paint. That's a lot of work, okay? And it doesn't look quite right either. What you're doing is you're just literally going to tap and push down, and there's your little, if we connected all of these and put them side to side, left, right, middle, that's going to make a nice little pine tree like that one. Or an evergreen. Let's just call it an evergreen. Okay? So let's do one more up tree here. And again, hopefully my hand's out of the way a little bit. Let me scoot over here. My tree may be a little crooked because I'm trying to stay out of the way. I'm going to make my little line. And I'm going to go in with just the corner, barely touch the top, push, go left or go right, and then go left, or either way. Doesn't matter which way you go. But I'm using mainly that corner, working my way down that tree. And, you know, as I get down the tree, I push a little bit harder. That's a weird one right there. You can always go back and fix them. Okay? So there's a couple of little decent little trees you can throw in a landscape. You know, another way the Bram makes trees is up trees, right? Let's put an up tree here next to this one. We'll make the up tree a little bigger. I love up trees. And when I'm painting, I don't typically put a line all the way down. I don't think it's necessary. You're welcome to, unless you're going to make it thicker, maybe like this, and put a little highlight on the side, which you could. Alright, so up trees, same thing, kick it over to the side, but instead of pushing down, I'm going to make a little mark and kind of pushing the brush up, and hopefully you can see that. Go left, come back a little bit to the right. Come in the center, go left, drop down to the right. And then what I want you to notice also is I flip that brush, I'm keeping the corner, but sometimes I'll flip it and use the other corner. The reason being is I've got more paint in that loaded corner that I've not used. So I don't have to keep going back to the canvas, or back to the palette, I mean. So I'm just pushing up on these, so the brush stroke for this is kind of keep that brush over here and just kind of push up. Okay, and that makes your little pine boughs or whatever, cedar, whatever kind of tree it is. We don't ever know what we're painting. We know they're happy, but we don't know exactly what kind of tree that is. And again, you can leave spaces in yours. You don't have to have it quite this dark. I think evergreens look good when they're dark. We'll paint one here in a second with some more spaces in it, right? Just fill that in, but I'm pushing up, pushing up, pushing up, pushing up, pushing up with the corner. And you can see that. Look, there's half the brush here, all the way at the bottom, not being used, right there. And it's just that. Okay? All right. Let's put one next to this guy. We'll make it a little smaller. And I'll show you that you can actually drag down, but if you had a lot of paint back here, it would be completely different. But you can, if you're careful, drag a little with no pressure. Just kind of drag down a thin little trunk. And then let's focus on this one being, yeah, I'll do another up tree. Focus on this one just being kind of sparse. So jump there, maybe put a little bit there, come here, put a little bit out there. Okay, I'm leaving those spaces, and it gives you a different kind of looking tree. Again, the whole brush stroke is making your tree shape. You're not painting it, I'm not pulling the paint, I'm not letting the brush slide. So, and that really gives it a nice effect. So there's a few little trees. We got a really bad tree. Somebody go turn this video on and be like, oh my God, this guy can't paint. What is that? Some kind of demonic beast here coming in the scene here. We'll put a little beak on it. Something like that. That's a fish. That's a whale. It's got his spouting out here. A little water coming out of there. Like that. Alright. I don't know why the whale has a stick under it though. Alright. Now again, we can make all kinds of little trees with just the fan brush. These are your two main trees that you make, the most typical, right? You can also make one like this, and we'll just kind of draw a little line again, being careful. I'd prefer students to kind of tap it on because that until you get used to the brushes. Alright, and then I've got somewhere here, we'll need a little assist from a script liner. Let me grab one. Somewhere. Here we go, get a little paint there on my script liner. And we can always think about, and this is not going to be a great tree, so don't get on to me. Don't lose faith here. Just, I want some branches off this thing. Okay. And it coming down there, and maybe one goes back over, who knows. Okay. Another way you can make use of the fan brush is to take this one and just kind of pop a little up stroke on here. occasionally. Leave it kind of sparse, something like that. I think I got thinner on my brush, didn't mean to. And just kind of push up on that corner carefully, and you can create all of this nice little foliage in here for, maybe this is a white pine, you know, pine tree kind of shape. But you just work on top of the little branches you made. You can also do this without putting those branches on there. It adds something though. I'm just pushing up. Okay, and whatever, you know, you can get down there and get the whole brush going. There's another way to use the fan brush, one more way. Let's take this, let's draw us another line here. I did get paint thinner in my paint I needed to keep dry. Let's go up here and make one. And I'll try to keep my, I'll make it a little lower. Okay. Alright. Let's think about more little branches off of here, but I mean, just a few. I'm going to show you what the fan brush can do with this here. And these are awful branches. I do make good branches when I want to. There we go. Just a few little things sticking off there. You can take that fan brush and instead of doing the upstroke, you could just maybe just kind of tap some little stuff on here. You know, kind of like a sparse, you know, it goes all the way up. Who knows? I need to learn my trees better so I can tell you maybe what kind of tree this is. But just bounce around here, putting some foliage on different areas. Up to here maybe. Okay, something like that. Old craggly tree. But again, your up trees, these guys here are going to be your standard Bob Ross trees. And real quick, we'll do two more in this space here, and we'll just draw our line because we're doing it quick. Down, kick it over to the side, use a corner, and just work your way down the tree until you like it. Side to side. Just letting the brush hit and then going back the other way. Letting it hit, go back the other way. Kick the middle. Kick the middle and keep it dark. Okay. There's a down tree real quick. Okay. And the more time you spend on it, the better it'll look. Or vice versa. Some people have better trees when they paint them fast. And we'll do one more up tree. Right here. Kick the brush over. Go in. Just a corner. Push up a little bit. Push up. And then you start kind of working out. There, let's go run into that. There. There you can see it. Kind of working side to side, keeping the middle nice and dark. Don't let the brush slide like I just about did. And just pushing up, you get a really effective little pine tree. Something like that. That mark is from the other mess I made. But all kinds of little things you can do with this brush, play with it. But for trees, you probably can't beat this brush. And this is one of your cheaper ones, right? This is a number 6. They make a number 3. I don't think I have a 3 back here. A number 3 is about this size. I've worn this newer brush out, so it's a little smaller. It's a little smaller than that. But there you go. There's how to make up and down trees and a couple other trees with just a fan brush. And then you throw your highlights on. And I'm not going to do it on this video. So your highlights go on the exact same way you make the tree, okay? And you use less highlights than you do the dark. And there you go. I will see you guys soon. Everybody be well, stay well, and be kind to each other. Take care, guys.